So should we introduce ourselves?
I guess so. I'm Aly.
And I'm Melissa, and this is the Liverpool USA podcast.
Yeah, we're best friends, and this is a best friends podcast.
That's so cute. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at your cute little notes here, and it looks like you kind of wanted to talk about when, why, and where we ended this because it's been a while.
Yeah, we started doing this little project like 3 years ago. It might even be, no, 3 years ago, I think, was when we did this the last time. 2018.
I graduated in 2019, so I think it would be 2 years if we did it my last semester of
Oh,
college.
like 2.5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was when I was in Hungary. And yeah, it was your last semester of college. It was my junior year spring semester of college. And that was the first time, well, it was the first time that we had like been apart for like a long time, I guess. And we wanted to keep in touch, and we were both kind of in like interesting chapters of life. So we kind of just recorded our phone calls to each other. And it was a lot of us like catching up, and updating each other on our like various adventures. And that was a really interesting project. I think that we had some good conversations, and ever since that ended, we've both talked about wanting to start it back up in different forms. So here we are.
Yeah, and you really push that, which I appreciate because it's I mean, it's definitely a good excuse to talk more often, which we should do, and in a very cute and creative way, which I think is very representative of us.
Yeah, yeah, I
So,
do. I do think that's very true of our friendship. Is we're always like trying to find cute ways to be best friends. Like
yeah.
we're always like being a little extra, which I love about us. Um, so yeah, now everyone gets to hear us just like talk nonstop instead of just each other.
Good. We get to subject the people to it.
Yeah, and we're calling this season 2 of the Liverpool podcast. Originally, it was just called Liverpool, but we updated the name to Liverpool USA. Uh, and we're gonna tell the story of that like towards the end of this. Um, why we called it Liverpool in the first place, and why we updated it to Liverpool USA. Basically, just we met in Liverpool, England, but we're very American, and we're in the USA now. I mean that's like the vague description of that name, but we'll tell the real story. But yeah, season 2, we're gonna do a few things a little differently. Um, we want to talk in a little bit more of a structured way this time. Last time, like I said, we were just kind of recording our conversations and just sort of talking as we normally would on the phone, and just recording it and posting it. And this time we are having themes for our episodes, and I'm writing a bunch of notes for the episodes each time so that we have more direction. And also, a big change from last time is our audio will be so much better, hopefully.
Hopefully.
I mean, I messed up the microphone a little bit, but
Yeah. We'll figure it out. We still can allow ourselves a little bit of experimenting before we get this perfect. We are
yeah,
not professionals.
no.
We are just friends.
Yes. um yeah. So, yeah, this is the Liverpool USA podcast. Today's theme is just sort of reintroductions, um, because we're apart again, like we were the first time we did this. I live in Bellingham, Washington now, And you are where?
I am in I'll just say the Portland, Oregon area.
Yeah.
That is where I occupy at the moment.
Yeah. And so yeah, we're apart again, and we have been for a year now, and so we've kind of been meaning to start this back up for a while. But it just worked out to start it now. And yeah, it's kind of part creative project and part us just being friends and talking to each other. And lots of things have changed since the last time we did this. I recently went back and listened to some of our old recordings, and I just was in such a different place in my life. I don't know if you feel the same. I'm sure you do, but
I have not listened to those since they were released, so I can't give like a super accurate comparison of me then and now. But if I just think about where I was at the time and where you were at the time and now where we are, then yes, things have definitely changed and are definitely different. Um, I mean, I graduated college
you
for
did.
one. Yeah. And then there was the whole, um, it's really unnecessary to explain. So I'll just say there was the whole pandemic. We all know, what that was. And, and I guess since then, to summarize, I've had a few jobs, I've had a couple internships, and I've had a few personal projects I've worked on. I'm a little out of it right now because I was just kindly rejected from a job that I really wanted after a long, stressful interview process, but it's fine. I'm in a little bit of a phase right now where I still have things that I'm focusing on. I still have art that I'm doing of my own. Um, I'm still writing, I'm still doing all those things, but I'm also in, especially since getting that rejection, in a more of a kind of floaty area in life right now. Like I'm not really sure what I should do now or where I should go next, but I'm just doing.
Yeah.
Um, so that's that's kind of my update. I'm not doing awful. I'm not completely breaking down or anything. Like I have goals still. And so but I think it's just, I think everyone is in probably a similar, set of, especially in the pandemic and like coming out of it, of just everything's changed, and we're all like in weird spaces in our lives probably, but yeah, so I'm just a little bit out of it, but I'm still here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I relate to that a lot. I think sometimes it's very freeing to be in that part of life too, like
It can be, yeah, yeah.
yeah, also stressful, but sometimes it can be kind of freeing to just be like, we'll see where the wind takes me.
Yeah, 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 because it has allowed me to, being in this like in between job thing has allowed me to focus more on personal projects and think more about where I want to go from here. So like I've got things that I'm really excited about in the works, but then I've also, got a lot of things that I'm unsure about. Um, but yeah, I do have arts and stuff that we'll probably talk about in a later episode of this. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I do really want to do an episode where we talk about creative projects, because we both do a lot of creative projects, but they look very different from, well, sometimes they look different from each other. And so I'd love to talk about our like creative processes and things like that. Um, yeah. And doing creative things independently outside of like a quote unquote real job or something. I think is an interesting endeavor. Harder than it may seem, easier than it may seem. I don't know. Yeah, my life update is I also graduated college, but a year after you. And then right after I graduated in 2020, in the middle of the pandemic. And then I went straight to grad school. And now I'm halfway through a master's degree in math. And I have lots of feelings about that, which again could like be another episode probably. But I'm doing it, and I know what I'm doing for the next 9 months because I'm finishing this master's degree. And then after that, I have no idea what I'm doing. I have a few options, I guess. And I don't know, I a little bit feel like I'm in that state too, where I'm like, I don't know really what I'm doing. I do know what I'm doing right this second, but I don't know what I'm doing in the future. And yeah, it's stressful. It's also a little freeing. It's also I'm a little bit overwhelmed by choice, you know, like I don't like there's so many things that I could take the next step towards. That it's hard to do any of them. And yeah, I guess vaguely I'm just still doing math things. I also am trying to keep up with some of my writing projects and some of my creative projects that usually involve writing. And I do still have one violin student as well. So I'm still a tiny bit of music as well. So yeah, I don't know. The pandemic was hard for me, like academically and like professionally, I guess. I don't know how professional anything I do is. But
if you call it professional, therefore it makes it professional.
Yeah. Yeah, the pandemic was hard. It's hard to go to school while it's been like this. It's also hard to like move to a new state alone in the middle of a pandemic. So that was hard. I think I'm mostly on the other side of that now. I have met people where I live now, which I hadn't for a while. And yeah, I'm going back to in-person school next week. And I get to start teaching in person. I'm teaching pre-calculus this quarter.
So, did I take pre-calculus in high school?
I don't know if you did. I think you're
or just regular calculus. A calculus class, I think. I don't know why I ask that. Just like, ooh, how can I relate? I don't know anything about math since high school.
I think you probably did pre-calculus. Because if you did anything past algebra 2, that was pre-calculus.
Oh yeah, because it was like a dual credit class, so I got college credit for it.
Nice. Yeah.
It was hard.
Yeah. It's funny, actually, last night, Abe asked me like some pre-calculus question because he's like tutoring some kid who's in pre-calculus. And he was like, I didn't know what the answer to this was, so I'll ask you. And I like didn't know the answer. And I was like, I'm teaching this next week.
Oh no.
Pre-calculus is hard, even for people who are supposed to know how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, honestly, I think that the best teachers are the ones that haven't been doing it forever. Like the ones that still learn things about what they're teaching. I feel like the teachers who have been teaching forever, they kind of lose it and they kind of, like lose the passion and they forget how to learn, I feel like. And so I feel like it's hard to teach when you don't remember what it's like to learn from someone who's teaching.
Absolutely. I think that's absolutely the case. Yeah. I do like to be the type of teacher who is okay with not knowing things and being like, oh, let's figure it out together. I think that can be very empowering for the student. And also it's good for me to not know everything. I think it's good for me to challenge myself to like keep learning as I go.
Yeah, definitely.
Do we want to tell the story of the day we met?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I only remember I'm interested to hear your account of it. because I honestly don't remember that day super well. I think partially because I just don't have a good memory. So I remember very random bits and pieces of everything. Um, but we like went to Liverpool, obviously. And then I guess, and because I want to hear your version. So my really short version, it would be that like we were studying abroad. We went on a trip that was like sanctioned or whatever by the school, so it was all like study abroad students. We went to Liverpool and we kind of just ended up next to each other, and then I talked for a really long time about music, and then we kept talking to each other after that. So that's my very short version of like what I remember, but I know that you probably remember more details than me, so I want to hear your version.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, I mean, we knew each other existed before this day.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember seeing you with your viola case like walking around.
oh, like at school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
And
I,
your hydrate sweater, for
oh,
some
it like,
reason I remember the
I,
keep hydrated sweater
yeah,
like in the music department.
yeah. I don't think I mean, I'm sure I did see you at some point, but I didn't like specifically notice you um until we were in England. And then, or I think like, I mean, I knew that you were like retroactively when we went to the big like study abroad meeting. I remember you asked a question like during the thing, and it was like, how do I find people to go to concerts with?
Oh, did I really say something like that? That yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Shy to be like, me, I'll go to concerts with you. But I was like, okay, like she seems cool. I don't know. And then,
Perspective.
yeah. And then I once we were in England, I saw you in one of my classes because we had our like first day of school, I think, before we went to Liverpool. Um, and so I knew that you were in either both of the classes we had together or just one of them. I don't remember if I saw you in both or just one. But I was like, I remembered that you were from Pacific, so I knew that we at least had that in common. And you were dressed really cool. I don't remember what it was, but you were wearing a cool outfit. And I remember saying something like, "Oh, I like your shoes" or something like that. And then you like complimented me on my outfit, and then that was like our little moment, kind of. and then and then like the next day was when we went to Liverpool, and so yeah, we were on this like school bus. Well, it wasn't a school bus, but it was like a bus
Like a
from the school.
charter bus thing, yeah.
Yeah,
Like a big old bus.
yeah. And we all got on the bus, and you had gotten on first, I think, and then I got on, and there were like not very many seats available, but there was one next to you, and so I was like, oh, can I like sit by you, you know? And so we just both independently like listened to our music on the drive there. And I was being very nosy, and now you know this about me, but at the time, but I anytime somebody's like doing something on their phone like next to me, I will look at I have no chill. Um, and so I was peeking at like what you were doing on your phone, like a creep. And
No, honestly, I was probably also trying to look at what you were listening to because I'm like that, especially with music stuff. So there's definitely a part of me that was probably like, ooh, what was she listening to? And then I also wouldn't be surprised. I don't remember like exact like if this is what I thought, but I also probably was like leaving my phone like in a like open, so it's like, oh, if she saw it, that'd be fine. So you
I
could like see what music I was listening to.
I think you were, because I did get to see like a lot of the music that you were listening to. And but it was all cool, and it was all like music that I liked too. And I remember specifically I was listening to the new at the time. I don't know. I don't think it's still their newest album. I don't know. But it was Fall Out Boy's like Purple album,
Yeah.
and it had like just come out. And so I was like listening to it. Um and I noticed that you were listening to like, that type of music too. And I think you might have been wearing your jacket with all the patches on it. I don't
I
remember.
was, yeah, I did. I
Yeah.
was wearing that day.
So I saw that you were listening to that type of music, but when I talked to you, I think I was like, oh, like you listen to like the same music as me because like, all your patches or something. And so we started talking like a little bit, but then that's when the bus arrived in Liverpool. And our first stop that everybody on the bus was doing was going to the Beatles Museum in Liverpool, because the Beatles are from Liverpool. And so we walked through the museum, and we just sort of were going at the same pace and thinking a lot of the same things were cool, and everyone else was pretty much going at different paces than us. And I remember we kept being like, this is cool, and like kind of making small talk about the museum as we went. And at this point in my head, I was very much like, she's cool. Like I should be friends with her, like, so after we got like through the museum, I was kind of like, what's your plan today? Cause we were just sort of after the museum, it was just be in Liverpool for a while. And I didn't really know anybody else. And you knew like a few of the other Pacific friends, but not all of them went. I think only Elise did. Is that right?
That might be right. I don't remember anyone else, but I do specifically remember being with Elise. So you
Yeah.
might be right. Yeah.
And I think it was Elise, and then Elise had already like social butterflied some other friends that were kind of like in our group too. And you were like, oh yeah, I'm like gonna be hanging out with Elise probably most of the day. And I was like, I just kind of like attached myself onto the group. And I think Elise was the one who said like, oh yeah, we're going to this cathedral. And we were all like, yeah, okay. So we walked to this cathedral, and on the walk, it was like a 20-minute walk probably, to the cathedral from the Beatles Museum. And on the walk, we started talking. And that's when we started like talking. And I don't know, you say that you talked like way too much or something, but I think both of us were like talking a lot.
Yeah, good. I definitely know that when I get on a topic sometimes I can not like shut up. So it's good that you remember also talking.
Yeah, I think we both were talking. We were talking about everything. We started talking about music. We started talking about, I don't know. I definitely, our first bonding point was music, but then after that we started talking about clothes maybe, because we had kind of similar outfits going on,
My top two interests. Music and clothes.
Yeah, and then we started talking about like where are you from and like all of this stuff, and we started getting to know each other and talking. And we got to the cathedral, and we were both blown away by the cathedral because it was, still our first week in England. We had never like seen architecture, proper. So we were looking at all of that and still talking the whole way through. And then after the cathedral, I think Elise and them were like, oh yeah, we're gonna go to this like boat thing, or like we're gonna go on this boat out in Liverpool Harbor. And yeah, that's our next stop. And both you and I were kind of like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't really do boats.
And it was January. Like,
oh yeah, and it was cold.
It was freezing cold and like not raining but wet. And like
as England is.
Yeah. And yeah, we both were kind of like, that sounds so cold and wet and windy. And it was gray. Like, I don't even know how much you could have seen from the boat. I don't know. It just was kind of, we were both kind of like, nah, maybe we want to just go look at some more stuff in Liverpool. And so we left, and then it was just you and me. And we went and walked around, and I remember you saying, I would really love to like find this guitar shop, I think. Either that or we just like walked past it and you were like, we should go in there or something. But at this point you had told me that you played the bass. Then I had told you that I played the viola, I think. And I was like, yeah, let's go in this music store and like see what they've got, you know? And we walked around that music store, and that's when we started talking about more of our like other interests. I mean, it was still music, I guess, but it was like playing music, you know? And you were telling me about your sister and about Ryan because they were in the band. And yeah, we just didn't shut up, and we walked around this music store. I think we hung out in the music store for like an hour maybe.
Did I play a bass?
You did.
I did. That I remember that being awkward. Like it seemed like because in America you could walk into like a guitar center or whatever and you can pick up a guitar and you can plug it in and you can play it and they like let you do that.
Yeah.
But you had to ask for it there. And then they also like it's like they were expecting you to buy it if you played it, I think.
Yeah.
And so that was a little it's also kind of funny that I did it with you.
I know. Yeah, like literally within like 3 hours of us like actually meeting, you know, was yeah, you were like playing the bass in front of me.
Which is also strange to me because I don't really feel like I'm the type of person who would really want to show off. I feel like I would be too nervous to like immediately just start playing the bass in front of you, but also I was very bass deprived already.
Yeah,
I hadn't even been, I hadn't even been gone that long and I was like I need to play a bass guitar. And they had really nice ones there. I remember that. So
yeah. Yeah. I think you bought like a strap as well.
oh, maybe.
I don't remember if it was there or some other time.
It was at the place in New York. I bought 2 guitar straps.
Yeah, I definitely might be misremembering. But yeah, so then we did that, and then we left and we started walking around some more, and that's when we heard people busking in the middle of the like it was a big pedestrian street.
Yeah, like a cobblestone, with all the stores and everything.
Yeah, and we were walking back like vaguely towards our like where everyone was supposed to meet, and we were walking back and we heard people busking, and I remember you were like that they sound so good, like let's go like watch. And I was like, yeah, okay. So we walked over and we like looked at them, and I remember thinking that they were very attractive.
Oh my god.
Also their music was good, but you know. And
I probably thought the same thing. I mean, I honestly don't remember, but it would be I probably thought the same thing.
Yes, we like stared at them for a little while, and I know at least you put some money in their like busking jar.
Definitely because I took a little bit of a video, and I don't like to take pictures of video of people busking unless I give them some money.
Yeah, which I think is a good policy. But yeah, so yeah, we like gave them some money and we watched them, and yeah, you took a video, and we like wrote down their name because I remember us both being like, oh, we need to remember like who this is, you know, because they were cool. We wrote down their name, and I remember like when we got home, they had like 2 songs or 3 songs on Spotify, but there wasn't a lot on Spotify yet. And we were like, okay, cool, you know, that was a cool experience, and we didn't really think much of it. Of course, then we later saw them busking in York, and then we bought tickets to their show in New York, and it ended up being very cool. And King No One, I don't know if we said the name of the band.
I don't think we have. It was King No One.
And
the song they were playing was 2 Islands,
which is my favorite song by them.
Yeah, aw, that's so cute.
Yeah, they were so good, and we ended up like really liking them a lot and going to their whole show. And yeah, and then after we did that, we really bonded over like finding that band as well, I think. And then we walked back and boarded our bus again, and we had like a 2-hour drive, I think, back to York. And on the drive back, I remember Elise, I think, saying something like much later on about how the whole bus was so tired and like quiet and asleep. At this point, Oh, and you and I just like not shutting up.
Yeah.
And like whole bus like was like, okay. But we just talked and talked and talked. I remember we talked about gun control. We
Oh
talked
my
about
God, really? Like already?
yeah. Like on this bus ride conversation, we were talking about deep conversation stuff.
I remember mostly music, talking about music on the way back.
We
Yeah.
did talk a lot about music as well. And yeah, I think, you know, at least I guess I can only speak for myself, but I knew after that we were gonna be like good friends, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I mean, after that, we kept seeing each other, we kept talking. So
Yeah.
definitely that was a solidifying moment and like, okay, we have to be friends after this because we've just like we've just bonded.
Yeah, yeah, it really was. Like we bonded on that trip, and then I feel like I mean, after that trip, our friendship was already a friendship and we were just like hanging out, you know? Um it wasn't like, oh, should we like get to know each other? I mean, we did still, like there was still lots of things that we had to get to know about each other, but I felt like it wasn't like we were getting to know each other. It was like we were already friends and we were just hanging out, you know?
Yeah.
Um yeah, but that's I guess sort of the story of the day we met, and that's why we called this little joint project Liverpool, because
Yeah.
the place and the day that we met. And yeah, I don't know, and we added the USA this time, like I said, just because it makes the name a little bit more unique, and uh and we're in the USA now.
Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, I like it. It kind of very simply uh like men's everything together, like we were
Yeah,
there, now we're here, type of thing.
yeah. um yeah, so I guess I don't know, is that all we want to really like talk about this episode? I don't know where we're at for time.
We are just over a half hour. It looks like we're at about like 32 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else. I'm trying to think about anything else that, from our origin story
Yeah. Our
that
origin story.
is notable. What?
I said I love that, our origin story.
Yeah. I actually thought of that earlier when I was thinking of titles because I was like, oh, we're gonna talk about, the day that we met. It's our origin story.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have never had a friendship like this that formed like that, you know?
Yeah, that formed in such a quick, unique event like that. Yeah. Although I
Yeah.
feel like because I've had a few like best friend, status people over my life, um, and like if I think about my high school best friend, um, I think that it happened like definitely not in the same way because I don't think I'm ever going to make a friend in the same way because it was like so unique. But I
Yeah.
feel like, if I think about the other top tier friends I've had, there's definitely something different about just like when you meet and talk for the first time. And it's like, okay, there's something different here. Like you're connecting on a level that just works in a
Mhm.
way that it's like, this is how I want to communicate with people, like it just works.
It
Um, it feels what?
feels better.
Oh yeah. Sorry. I think when my audio is like overshadows your audio, it like just cuts you off.
I can't interrupt you.
And I can't interrupt you. This is a test for me.
I know. Yeah, no, I love our origin story. We also I think one other thing that is cute about this story is because it's a specific day. Every year since then, on the day, we like call it our anniversary, and we or sometimes we call it Liverpool Day, and we always like text something nice to each other that day, which I think is really sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're usually the one who notices it first, and then I'm like, oh my God, it is that day.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it's really sweet. We like I think we have a great origin story, and I love that it happened that way.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And then hopefully we'll go back someday.
I know.
Maybe even more than one time. I would love to. I would love to constantly go back to Liverpool specifically.
Me too. I feel like it's kind of a crime that we only got to be there for like 6 hours.
Yeah, really. It was beautiful. I loved it
Mhm.
there.
Me too. One day we're gonna go back to England and go to York and go to Liverpool and go everywhere.
Yeah. I want to go back, and I mean, we can make a whole episode just out of this, but yeah, I definitely want to go back and go to like everywhere that I went and then like other places too.
Me too. Okay, well, I guess maybe this is the end of episode 1 of Liverpool, USA, season 2. And I think we're going to put this show on YouTube.
Yeah. I think that's our best option for now. So you're probably hearing this on YouTube.
Yes.
And then I was thinking probably a bi-weekly thing. We'll probably record every other week and then release every other week.
Yeah, that seems like a good plan. Um, and yeah, so you're going to find us on YouTube. I'm also going to put a page on my website for us, which is allywatts.xyz.
Gotta plug that.
allywatts.xyz. Yeah. And so you can find it there if you can't like search it up on YouTube, And then yeah, once every other week is when you'll find a new episode dropping.
Yeah, and we'll have themes this time. We'll have a little bit more of a structure. I know, like we said, we're probably going to talk a lot more about England in the future. Halloween is coming up, so we're definitely going to talk about that, our art projects, our writing projects, and things like that. So, yeah, I look forward to talking so much.
Me too. Now we're ending. Let's talk again soon. I love you.
I love you too.
Bye.
Goodbye.